Since the famous 80s poll that declared Mario a more recognizable icon amongst America's youth than Mickey Mouse, the staying power of the video game hero has seldom been in doubt. You don't even have to have held a controller to have heard of the likes of Pac-Man or Lara Croft, and us gamers all likely have our favourite heroes and heroines whose next appearance we're either keenly looking forward to, or can at least reminisce about en masse. But what about those who have fallen off the grid somewhat? For this list, we'll be looking at underrated characters who perhaps don't get the current recognition they deserve, either for their flawed games or recent lack of installments. While many will have their own idea of what qualifies as a forgotten hero, we've tried to include as many memorable characters we can think of who we haven't seen as part of the wider gaming discussion in a long time. I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 forgotten video game heroes who deserve a comeback. Number 10. Lazarus Jones, Ghost Hunter. He might look like what would happen if you ran Brad Pitt through a tumble dryer, but Lazarus Jones, yes, that really is his name, is the charismatic main character of the PS2's third-person haunt-em-up Ghost Hunter. After unwittingly releasing imprisoned ghosts, Jones must go about recapturing them after being gifted the ability to see spirits with his naked eyes. With the help of a mysterious silent spirit, Jones uses the spectral gateway to jump to other realms, fight ghosts, and find his missing partner. During his quest, the reluctant protagonist becomes the only hope of solving an ancient conspiracy, which goes far deeper than he realizes. Despite mixed reviews, the game upheld a unique atmosphere with a good balance of horror and action. It also featured a stellar voice cast, including Rob Paulson, Joe Morton, and Michael freaking Gambon, can you believe? While Lazarus could be quippy, he also took his job seriously, and clearly cared about his companions, something which made him a likable underdog. Lazarus also had a unique ghost gun powered by ghost energy, helping him fight entities from other dimensions and making him the first on this list to have a cool weapon entirely unique to him. There will be quite a few more though, let me tell you. Number 9. Jennifer Tate and Scree, Primal. Featuring a dig at Tomb Raider, 2003's Primal made clear its ambitions to create a new and iconic female gaming lead with Jen, a young woman whose soul becomes trapped in limbo after she and her boyfriend are attacked by a demon outside a nightclub. Jen must travel through the realms of oblivion with her new gargoyle friend Scree, voiced by the late great Andreas Katsoulas, to rescue her lover's soul and perhaps fulfill a few ancient prophecies along the way. Control can be switched between Jen and Scree at any time. As Jen, players may transform into various demonic forms which enhance her attacks and unlock special powers. Scree, being a gargoyle, is invulnerable, can scout ahead for enemies and puzzles, and replenish Jen's health. A great dynamic between these two unlikely friends, as well as the setting's fascinating lore, gave the game its own unique identity. All of this matched with the banging new metal soundtrack, giving the game an undeniable early 2000s charm in the best possible way. Despite receiving middling reviews upon release, Primal has gone on to develop a small but dedicated following, with more recent publications even citing it as an underrated gem. Only time will tell though if we ever get to return to navigate Oblivion with Scree and Jen. Number 8. Kurt Hectic, MDK. Once upon a time, the folks at Shiny Entertainment, then famous for popular titles such as Earthworm Jim, Aladdin, and The Jungle Book, were becoming disillusioned with the cartoony and kid-friendly games they'd been working on. And so MDK was born. MDK's unique tone comes from the contrast between its dark H.R. Giger-inspired visuals and its irreverent and absurdist humor, embodied fully by main character Kurt Hectic, a man whose name was itself inspired by countercultural icons of the time. As a janitor working minimum wage for a mad scientist, Kurt becomes an unlikely savior for mankind against an alien invasion when he's the only one capable of donning the energy-absorbing coil suit, which also comes equipped with a chain gun and a head-mounted sniper rifle. Among Kurt's arsenal are the world's smallest nuclear explosion and the world's most interesting bomb, which causes enemies to fervently pursue it when thrown. Once a darling of the DOS and PlayStation era, Kurt's adventure spawned a well-received sequel and was almost on course to be a fully CGI movie from the makers of classic kids cartoon Reboot. Sadly, we haven't seen much of Kurt or his friends in any recent incarnations, but maybe he'll be back to help us fend off a pending alien invasion sometime soon. Number 7. Michael Lara, Shadow Man. Initially a comic book, Shadow Man is perhaps better known as an action-adventure video game series, albeit one which hasn't seen love for some time. The game stars Michael Lara, the current Shadow Man, a voodoo warrior sworn to protect the living from threats crossing over from the afterlife, or the dead side if you want to get proper terminology about this. After a prophecy reveals an undead army overwhelming the world of the living, Michael must travel to the dead side using his deceased brother's teddy bear, which serves as a link between both worlds, while collecting Dark Souls, no, not those Dark Souls, to power him. Shadow Man balanced dark themes with deep action-oriented gameplay and had a strong emotional core revolving around Michael's tragic backstory. Combined with a cast of colourful characters and Michael's powers constantly proving to be more of a curse to him than a blessing, his story proved compelling enough to spawn a successful PS2 sequel and a 2013 remaster. Oh, well, 2013, I suppose it's not been that long after all, has it? I mean, 2013 was only 5-6 years ago? It was what? 10 years? Oh god, I hate getting old. Number 6. Jack Wade, Headhunter. News just in, it's the near future and criminals are being punished by having their organs transplanted for the benefit of wealthy clients. I mean, to be honest, that doesn't actually sound too far off reality, does it? From this premise alone, though, you will immediately know that Headhunter will be wearing its love of 80s science fiction action on its sleeves, with main character Jack Wade embodying the best of these tropes. Jack is a privatized bounty hunter for the Anti-Crime Network, ACN, who have effectively replaced all law enforcement in future LA. However, when Jack wakes up in a secret laboratory with his memory erased and his headhunter license revoked, he must get to the bottom of what has happened, while also helping the ACN president's daughter to solve her father's recent murder. With its stealth gameplay, cinematic presentation, and cyber conspiracy elements, the game takes clear inspiration from Metal Gear Solid. However, Jack's adventures set themselves apart from Snake's with their themes of private healthcare, media sensationalism, and the blurred lines between corrupt corporate culture and organized crime, ideas which are explored in a surprisingly thoughtful way. Despite its flaws as a game, Headhunter's sheer dedication to its cinematic presentation, engaging story, and fun characters make its star, Jack Wade, worthy of appearing in more than just the game's lone sequel. Number 5. Rikimaru and Ayame, Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Before From Software hit the big time with their Soulsborne titles, they were responsible for publishing Tenchu, a stealth action series set in feudal Japan. The first game stars Rikimaru and Ayame, members of the Azuma ninja clan since childhood, who serve the benevolent Lord Goda and assassinate any wrongdoers causing disruption in his providence. Tenchu Stealth Assassins adopts a mission-based format where the player can choose either Rikimaru or Ayame, who each have their own playstyles and personalities. The dutiful Rikimaru is slower but has a heavier sword attack, while the ruthless and sassy Ayame kills with swift speed. The series features a continuing story about the attempts of an evil demonic sorcerer trying to destroy Lord Goda, and Rikimaru and Ayame's efforts to protect him. The complex relationship between these childhood companions, whether they're butting heads or working together, is part of what contributed to Tenchu's sizable fanbase over the years. Only time will tell if From Software have any interest in bringing these characters back, although there is at least a mod to play as Rikimaru in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, so maybe that will inspire some ideas? We can only hope. Number 4. Klonoa, the Klonoa series. We realise this list has been leaning heavily on darker games up to this point, so let's change things up a bit by showcasing a hero the whole family can enjoy. Klonoa daughter Phantomile stars the titular character who wakes up to investigate a meteor crashing outside his house, an adventure which will turn into a mission to save the dream world of Phantomile. Designed by Yoshihiko Arai as a potential mascot for the PlayStation, Klonoa is a kind-hearted and energetic dog, cat, rabbit, we can't really tell honestly, who's helped by his companion Huepao, as well as a colourful cast of side characters he meets along the way. The main gameplay mechanic involves using Klonoa's wind bullets, which inflate enemies, letting him throw them at other objects or at the ground, giving him a boost and allowing him to perform 2/3 of a triple jump. The game got a series of spin-offs, including a mainline sequel, Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil for the PlayStation 2, which received critical acclaim, but sold poorly. However, remasters of both games were released in 2022, so hopefully we'll be seeing more of Klonoa in a new adventure someday. Number 3. Ecco the Dolphin. Arguably the thinking man's Sega animal mascot, Ecco the Dolphin is an underwater-based action-adventure game published for the Sega Mega Drive in 1992. Ecco himself is a bottlenose dolphin who must travel through time and space to restore the ocean's wildlife after it's abducted by aliens. Trust me, it makes more sense when you actually play it. The gameplay is based on real dolphin habits, allowing Ecco to jump out of the water to replenish his air supply, ram enemies at high speed, and use echolocation to find items and communicate with other creatures. In fact, the name Ecco, E-C-C-O, is a play on echo as in echolocation, and the Italian word echo, E-C-C-O, meaning to see. With its unusual premise, lush visuals, and trippy soundtrack inspired by Pink Floyd, the level Welcome to the Machine being a direct reference to this, playing Ecco the Dolphin can sometimes feel like you're experiencing an interactive prog rock concept album. The game was an unlikely hit and is considered one of the best titles for the Sega Mega Drive, spawning a sequel and even a reboot for the Dreamcast and PS2. However, we haven't seen much of the little dolphin or his environmentally conscious adventures for a while. Hopefully, Sega can do some echolocating of their own to find a reason to make a new game for him. Number 2. Turrican, the Turrican series. We're going back to 1990 now to rediscover a gaming icon of the Commodore 64 era. Taking inspiration from Metroid, Turrican, programmed by Manfred Trenz, follows Turrican on his journey to reclaim the planet Alterra from the evil Morgul. Gameplay-wise, Turrican features a variety of power-ups and weapons and non-linear level design, unusual for action games of the time. The hero's name comes from the Turrican assault suit, worn by different characters who take up the titular mantle across the series. In the do-it-yourself era of Amiga and Commodore 64 gaming, Turrican was a hero that came from the gaming community itself rather than some big AAA studio, and it quickly became popular due to its smooth visuals, killer soundtrack, and technical achievements way beyond what was thought possible on the Commodore 64. The game was later exported to other consoles and had a sequel, Turrican 2: The Final Fight. However, this game was completely reskinned and rebranded as a tie-in for the film Universal Soldier for the Sega Mega Drive, leading to that game's hero, Bren Maguire, and his quest to avenge the fallen crew of the Avalon 1 being erased for Sega fans. Turrican's legacy can't be denied, however, as it's influenced many of the 2D action games we still enjoy today, so hopefully we haven't seen the last of him. And number 1, Dizzy, the Dizzy series. Like Turrican, Dizzy was an icon of the Commodore 64 and Amiga era, and his games have perhaps the best critical track record of any character on this list, and most likely quite a few famous ones off this list as well. I'm looking at you, Sonic. Dizzy was created in 1987 by the Oliver twins, with the aim of creating an interactive cartoon, hence the first game's title, Dizzy: The Ultimate Cartoon Adventure. With most game sprites largely being unexpressive due to technological limitations, Dizzy was designed to be an anthropomorphic egg with a large beaming face to let players project themselves onto him. Although, that being said, a backflipping egg with a constantly cheeky smile arguably expresses quite a lot of personality on its own. Dizzy's games had an emphasis on puzzle solving, collecting items, and interacting with his friends, the Yoke Folk. In addition to the core games, Dizzy would sometimes cross over into other Codemaster properties, becoming something of a mascot for the company. Despite being one of the most successful British series of all time though, gaming's favourite egg, well except maybe for Togepi, hasn't been seen in a while. However, dedicated fans still love this little guy, and there have been numerous attempts to bring him back over the years. Could a new Dizzy game come backflipping onto current-gen consoles soon? Only time will tell.